Hello everyone, so this is the Kiali Sprint 75. At the end of this sprint on Monday, we are going to release 1.43 versions. This is a community meeting, July 1st, 2022. And yeah, this is the agenda for today. So we are going a summary of this, what we've done in the Sprint 75. As usual, we will showcase, we present the highlights, right, that all the relevant features or, the main areas that we're working on. And also, starting this sprint, we are going to introduce some kind of review of what we are going to do for the next sprint 76. That is going to be like a first preview, and probably in the future it can become more formal planning about just to allow everyone to participate in the issues that we have open, and also to provide feedback that can influence in priorities, right? So yeah, Sprint 75 summary. So team was pretty busy, so more than 50 issues. So you can see that now we are moving to the new GitHub projects. So the projects are in the same place, but we are using the new version of GitHub, and that can add more features. So in addition with the traditional Kanban column, where you can see what is in backlog, in progress, review, done. Also, you have new tabs when you can also see more details in the same information, but better organized. You can get an idea what is in the backlog, what is still in progress, view, or what is done, right? What are all the issues and pull requests that we match for. Oh, yeah, some of the highlights. So we have some features additions for this version, and also working in hardening on the traditional. So we have some features that I'm going to pass the mic to Yosune, my colleague Yosune, to explain this feature. And Yosune, yes, the mic is yours, and tell me when would you like to stop sharing my screen, and you can share yours.
Okay, thank you, Lucas. It was introduced a new capability in this version, so we can improve the observability of the MTLS traffic. So before jumping into the details, let's put you in a bit of context. So MTLS, or mutual TLS, is a protocol to ensure that the connection between two parties is encrypted. But as the main difference with TLS, for example, is that both parties needs to interact and exchange, verifies and trust each other's certificate. So, for example, in TLS, the client has to verify the certificate of the server, and the client has to present also in MTLS the certificate to the server, and the server has to verify. And how this is implemented in Istio? So Istio provides an envoy proxy that is placed in every workload in the mesh. So the communication is done through these proxies. And this is what it makes possible, for example, to get the telemetry data, and also to get a lot of information to monitor all the mesh. So when MTLS is enabled, the envoy proxy can handle all the MTLS connections. So this is possible because Istio provides its own CA, or the certificate authority, that interacts with the envoy proxies to provision the certificates. The more interesting thing of this feature is that Istio can apply MTLS automatically, so it's transparent for the applications, and no change needs to be done in the logic of the applications. MTLS can be applied in 3 different modes. It can be in mode permissive, and this is the default working mode. And this is where a service can accept plain text and also MTLS traffic, which is really useful for when, for example, we have some services or workloads outside the mesh communicating with services inside the mesh with MTLS enabled. Another working mode is strict, that can accept just MTLS traffic, and it can be disabled where MTLS is disabled, but this is not recommended. So it's a mode is unset, for example, for a particular namespace or for an application, it's going to pick up the mode from the parent. It can also be applied to the entire mesh, just to a namespace or filter, for example, by application. So Kiali offers the possibility to show this MTLS traffic, and I can share the screen, Lucas. So
yeah, you can share your screen
you can
now.
see now. Okay. So in this example that we have here, probably you already know, we got the Bookinfo demo installed here, and we have applied the MTLS traffic for all the mesh. So we can see the icon here. And if we click and display, this is not set by default, the badge about security, we are going to see between the edges which connections are or which traffic is encrypted using MTLS. We click in one of the edges, we can see here, for example, that MTLS is enabled. And now we have set up an external service that is outside the mesh and is sending HTTP traffic to the reviews, to this application. But in this case, we have applied a configuration in reviews. Is a kind of peer authentication that the MTLS traffic is in mode permissive. So this communication is possible. This was something that it was already in Kiali, but to improve this kind of observability traffic, we have added a new filter. And in each page details. So for example, we are going to go here to reviews. We can see here the same information about the log when the traffic is using with MTLS enabled. But the new feature allows us to filter here the connection security policy. And in this case, we can see that we got mutual TLS and non connection security policy applied. So we are going to be able to see these kind of graphics and these filters here. So we can also remove the filter by applications. And we are going to see the amount of traffic, the requests that are just with encrypted and not encrypted. Well, this is applied here in inbound metrics, also for onbound metrics. In this case, for example, we are not going to see or we shouldn't see a lot of mutual TLS traffic enabled. We are just seeing MTLS traffic. And yes, this is pretty much what we have done.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's interesting. Thank you, Yosune, for the demo. Let me to keep sharing my screen, and we can continue with the highlights for this Sprint 75. So yeah, as usual, we introduced a framework based on Cypress for the testing. And yeah, in this sprint, we are also hardening and also adding more testings, more functional testing, service details, workload details, and also trying to fix and harden it and make pretty stable and robust all some of the flaky tests that we identify in the CIs, right? As usual. But this work is more and more involved into the regular pull request work. And we have new improvements in the workload logs. And I'm going to pass the mic to Edgar. Edgar, would you like to describe or would you like to share your link to comment for this new feature?
Yes, I can share my screen.
Okay.
Let me do it. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Right. So this is my browser, just as a refresher about what I'm going to talk about. How do you reach the logs of a pod or of a deployment? You have two ways to reach it. So one is from the graph. You can do a click with the secondary button of the mouse, and you can click here on the logs option that will show up. So we can do that, and we will go to the logs tab, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. Or also the other way you can do it is simply to go to the workloads item in the menu entry and you can go here in the workload that you are interested in. And I will lower the time a little bit here for it to load faster. And here you have the logs tab in this detailed view. This is how you reach this feature of Kiali, which is going to show the logs of a pod. So the improvements here, I think that well, it's a little hard to see in my device because it's loading a little slower with all the screen sharing, all the things that I have running. But we really did some improvements in performance. So we had previously, Kiali was having some problems when loading the logs when they were very, very large. We heard from people that trying to load about 20,000 lines of logs already started having problems with this feature in Kiali. And it was taking quite a lot of time and also quite a lot of memory in the Kiali pod that sometimes it was killed by the cluster. So we improved that. I can't show a lot in here because I mean it's performance improvements. But yes, we lowered the amount of memory that is used to load the logs by a lot. And also we improved the rendering in the browser so that you can load much faster and inspect much faster in the browser a large number of logs. So as part of that, we have to change how this drop-down is working. Previously, it was meant to set how many lines at the end of the logs you want to see. So for example, if you choose it 100 of lines, it was like showing the last 100 of lines in the logs of the containers. Because of the improvements, we have to do that change that it will no longer show the last lines. Instead, it will show the first lines in the logs in the pod. So you will see that, for example, if I set 100, I will get I will show the timestamps. So it will be 100 starting from the top of the minute. So I have 14, 13, that's more or less the top of the minute, until the end that is almost the bottom of the minute. So previously it was the opposite. It was showing the last rather than the first lines of the logs. That's the change in this control that are explained in the slides. And basically that was because of the performance improvements that it wasn't feasible to keep that behavior of showing the lastest lines rather than the first lines. And well, as a refresher about what else you can do here in this window, you can see that you can select the pod that you are interested in. And just to comment a little bit, you are seeing workloads. In this case, is the product page v1 workload. A workload can be defined as a deployment. It can be a replica set or daemon set. So it can be anything that is in the broad sense is on the workloads word. So in a deployment, you can have several pods. In this case, I only have one replica, so it's only one pod. But in case you have more than one replica, you will be able to choose which pod you want to see the logs. And of course, within a pod, we can have several containers. In the case of the product page application, which is the usual Istio demo application, you have two. You have the product page container and also the sidecar, which is named Istio Proxy in this case. We added this warning in case you are using you are limiting the number of lines that are fetched. So for example, it is telling that both containers in the list are already past the 100 lines that we are requesting. This limit is per container, so if you choose to show 100 of lines, you will get at a maximum of 200 of lines in the unified view, because it's going to fetch at most 100 for the Istio proxy and at most 100 for the product page log. So just to have it cleared up. So for example, this is telling that for the last minute, it's already over 100 of lines of logs. You have two options here. You could increase the number of lines, increase the limit of lines, and you might get rid of this warning. In this case, no, not yet. So I could choose 3000, and most likely one of them will go away. So yes, the product page goes away, and it's only the Istio proxy which is logging more than 3000 lines for the last minute. The other option that you have to get rid of this warning, well, of course, you could choose a reduced time. In this case, this is the minimum time that we have, so the only option left is to keep increasing the number of lines that we will want to see. So you can see that actually the Istio proxy is logging a lot of lines. So probably I will need to go to choose all lines in order to get rid of this warning. So what else you can do? This is a unified view. So you will notice that we have colors here. For example, the product page is the white. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing the the product page one. Yes, something is misbehaving probably. But yes, the logs view is a unified view that will show both the product page and also the Istio proxy logs in one single view. So if we scroll a little bit, you will notice that they are supposed to be intercalated. I think that something is misbehaving in my environment, but this view will try to keep in order. I think that is more or less in order. If I can see that everything is being logged in the same with this timestamp, more or less. So it will try to have the corresponding logs together. Yes, probably there is something. I was playing a little bit with these options, so probably it's something that is causing this. Let's try to see another one that is not changed. For example, the ratings one. There you go. So you can see that the logs are more or less unified, given their timestamps, and this is how it looks normally. It's one after the other in the usual cases. So you can see that this is trying to tell that the white ones are coming from the rating spot, the ratings container, sorry, and the yellow ones are coming from the Istio proxy container. So what else you can do here? You can also do filtering on the logs. So for example, if you are only interested in knowing, for example, well, I'm not sure what I could search here, but for example, let's try to do this and just show the logs that have this string. Then you will notice that you can filter out the logs. So this is to try to reduce the amount of logs that you are getting from the container or the pods. You can also do the opposite. Rather than showing only the lines that contain certain string, you could hide them. So for example, let's do the same, and you will get the other ones that are being basically the other pod. Let's try to go to a more interesting pod if possible, or do something more interesting. Let me see if I can find something here. Well, probably not. I mean, it's not for some reason this broke, so I was going to show. Let's try to see if it works now. You also can use this match via regex. So, for example, if you want to look for these lines and you are trying to use see what services are being called by us, you could use expressions like this, and you of course need to enable this, and it will fetch the logs that match this expression. So you can see that this product page is doing some calls to the details and also to the review services. So that's something that you can do. Of course, you also can do the opposite. Rather than showing only those lines, you could hide them. So it could work to, for example, hide these kind of lines that probably are less interesting, and then you are left with the other ones. Probably everything that has header on it, and then you can left with the more interesting lines. That's something. You can also see the spines, the traces that are generating the services. All this together and intercalated. Yes, for example, this. And something that you can do specifically for the Istio proxy logs is that Kiali is going to parse them if possible. For example, in this case, it's not parsing the line because I have been playing with these other options that you can use to for example, turn off the logging of the Istio proxy. This is focused on the Istio proxy or the sidecar of the mesh. So you can turn off the logging at all, or you can set the different level of logging that you want. So for example, you could turn it off. And if we do that, it will show you that it's successfully updated, if possible, of course. And you will notice that the Istio proxy should stop logging or generating logs. More or less, possibly yes, because we are only seeing the product page here at the end. So going back to here, just to show you the parsing that Kiali is doing on the Istio proxy, you should be able to click here on this icon, and it will show you exactly what each entry of every log line means. You could click here on the labels, and it will show you an explanation of what is that label for. I think that one of the best explained is the response flags, probably, that it will show you exactly what every response flag means. So you have that. It's like some documentation that Kiali is offering for you. And of course, it shows you the breakdown of every field that parts for that specific log line. For the spans or the traces is very similar. You have this option here next to each line. In this case, it won't open a new window. Instead, it will redirect you to the traces page, and it will show you exactly, should point the specific span that you clicked on the locked window. Probably not this time. Let's try with another one. Anyway, you can go from one place to the other in using the logs. Basically, that's what this feature is offering to you. I mean, you can also show the timestamps in case the containers are not generating their own timestamps. This is what Kubernetes is offering. And that's it. That's just the refresher of the logs, how this works. And of course, just to emphasize that this got performance improvements, and you should be able to see quite a lot of lines in more. It should respond quickly. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Edgar. A very detailed demo. Thank you for that. So, need to share screen back. Okay. Yeah, but we have more features for this sprint. So again, we are in the middle of a work in progress for a big effort about scalability. One of the areas that we are doing is to prepare some performance environments just to create scripting, security testing. So we are targeting with one of the clouds that we have available to do that. But the idea is that we are going to start creating more deeply big scenario that can get that where we can get more information just to improve all this feature, right? One of the areas that we are improving is, the pages that are designed to show how all the data plane is which is the overview page on the graph. Our page is designed to show me what is the status of my method, what is my data plane. Typically, these pages need to fetch a lot of namespaces when you have a big cluster. Especially the validation is one area that is bit sensitive. So we did several improvements in performance around this feature in the overview as well. So we have also some work in progress about the metric finding investigation. I guess that Jay, you are also. Therefore, we like to dive.
Yeah, I'll just talk for a second about this. There's no demo here. But just to let people know that what's been going on is, we understand, and people have told us that sometimes the only reason that they're collecting metrics is to support Kiali. And as such, it can make sense to actually remove the large volume of metrics that are generated by Istio and Envoy and other things, and bring it down to just the set of metrics and within the set of metrics, the set of attributes that are actually used by Kiali to generate the graph, to show the charts, and so forth. So we've been trying to basically figure out how to make that as easy as possible for people. And it may just be actually documentation, but we'll have to see, such that we say, all right, here's some snippets that you can apply to your Prometheus configuration and get that done. So at this point in the investigation, we pretty much have that list of metrics and labels to drop, which would right off the bat remove quite a lot of pressure off of Prometheus in theory. So then one of the next steps will be, of course, to actually test that against environments and let the metrics accumulate and get some actual numbers as to what the percentages are for drops of space and so forth. We're continuing to look at one of the biggest, most impactful things are the histograms. The histograms are the particular metrics in Prometheus which support things like the quantiles or the percentiles that you see. So if you ask to see the 95th percentile for response time on your graph edges, that's powered by these histograms in the background, which is great, except for the fact that they actually generate quite a lot of pressure on your Prometheus because they generate a lot of metrics. One thing that we're looking at that contributes to that is also your scrape interval, which is configured for Prometheus, and what impact that can have on the number of metrics and the amount of pressure it takes or performance impact it has to scrape the metrics that are coming into your Prometheus from the different pods. So this is just an update to let you know that we are looking at that, and in the future, hopefully not too distant future, we'll have those recommendations for people and be able to help you guide your Prometheus configuration for performance. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, also one of the areas that we have is to improve the in the Istio configuration. Remember, so we have some features to show all the validation. Let me to show this in one demo. So one of the big features of Kiali is to tell you that your Istio configuration may have some problems, right? So the idea is also to show that now this validation, typically we have it in the editor. You know, I have here Kia 0004 no matching workload. So now all these validations are more clear in the side panel. For example, this one is telling me that, okay, this service account is not found. So the idea is that Kiali can also to tell me, okay, so perhaps I have something wrong. I can fix it here. So you can see that now I fixed one of the validation. Now I revalidated this Istio configuration. They've shown me other spaces that, other areas that are, you know, are not working, that can create something unexpected, because, you know, the configuration is syntactically valid, but these namespaces can create some runtime error. So this is one of the big goals of Kiali, try to help the user to identify sooner these scenarios in order to avoid this error. So yeah, this area of validation is keeping improving, right? And I can show you that, how I can help you do that, right? Other big area that we are working pretty hard is, you know, is the integration with third-party platforms. So Kiali is a standalone application, right? But also one of the features that we have pretty early in the project is to let me to showcase this, right? For example, let me to showcase the workloads, right? Is to be able to embed the app Kiali in a kiosk mode. So the idea is just that I can use the kiosk mode with a parameter, and now I could just only to use this version of Kiali, and I can use it to embed it in my own platform. This feature is intended to all these Istio distribution that are integrating with other Kubernetes platform, right? And now with this feature, what we have improved is that all the links, all the navigation, you can delegate to the parent what to do with these links, right? So for example, if another platform that we have this integrated, so this is a Kubernetes platform from OpenShift, and now I integrated Kiali like a kiosk. And in this case, when I would like to show the logs that Edgar has commented, what I can do is also to integrate it and tell, no, but I have another platform that I want just to tell to the user, or to integrate the parent platform what to do with this link, right? So that is pretty nice. And the idea is that this can help to any Istio provider that would like to embed Kiali for this, and they would need more integration tooling for these capabilities. So this is, you know, this is moving pretty fast, and any feedback on this direction can be pretty welcome, right? Another feature that we have is to also to explain better what the proxy are doing. The logs, Edgar has showed in a very detailed way that we can parse all the configuration, all the runtime logs of the proxy. So I can go here, right? And I can see what all of this means, right? Another feature that we have in Kiali is that I can show the envoy configuration for this scenario, right? And when I show this envoy configuration, now I will have more tooltips that are explaining what is the cluster in the envoy terminology, right? What does mean this type, you know, better description, all the semantics, also for all the scenario for the listeners, right? The destinations, also the routes. So this has been improved, and the idea is that in the backlog, the new efforts will be to improve this information, to help the users troubleshooting better any scenario that they can see, right? And yeah, I guess that was for the Sprint 75. Also, starting this Sprint 75, we are going to show in this session some preview about what you can expect for Sprint 76. So as commented, the first step is that what we have in the backlog that we couldn't finish in this sprint, so we are going to move this for the Sprint 75. So basically, it's more work into the validation, more work into the performance, right? You will see this kind of tasks, right? In addition to this, one thing that we have was the dynamic of the project is to label like backlog issues, right? And this backlog issues is when in this meeting or the next meeting we can also to collect input from the community about what could be the more priority, and this is what probably you can see for it. Right? So the idea is that we will try to use these meetings to show this information and also to actually collect more feedback about what we can put more on the priorities for the backlog. And yeah, and that's it. So to stop the recording. Sorry, this time it took a little bit longer, but we have a lot of things to show on this session. And yeah, and this is the non-recorded session for community discussion. If questions, comments, someone would like to ask something to the developers that implementing this feature, yeah, you are welcome. Okay, first thing is thank you, Yosune, Edgar, for the demos. Thank you, Jay, for the users. Pretty nice, all the work. Yeah, comments. Someone would like to bring some topic to the team. Remember, it's not recorded, so no problem. So anyone can. All right.
I had one question. So at the very end there, you just showed eligible